You are listening to the QSR Web Podcast.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to this week's QSR Web Podcast. I am, of course, QSR Web Editor Shelley Whitehead, and today we're going to take a trip to that gateway city of St. Louis, Missouri, where the 52-year-old roast beef-centered brand Lion's Choice is roaring away with a relatively new CEO at the head in Mike Kupstas. He joins us in just a moment to talk about the brand and its path inside and outside the St. Louis metro area right after this.
Are you a supplier or a brand working to elevate the customer experience? The Interactive Customer Experience Association connects brands, suppliers, agencies, and more who are working to create transcendent customer experiences. Let's work together to create a better customer experience ecosystem for us all. Join the ICX Association today at icxa.org.
And we're back with a QSR that has established itself as king of the fast food jungle in its home-based city of St. Louis, where Lion's Choice reigns supreme. But this QSR may have its sights set wider, which we're about to find out more about with our guest today, Lion's Choice CEO Mike Kupstas. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, it is our delight to have you here today. You know, this is kind of a standout in the quick service pack, just in the variety of less traditional center of the plate offerings you serve, like smoked ham and pulled pork and hot dogs, along with that central focus of roast beef. And I wonder why opt to stay with that assortment, particularly in pork-related items, and what are the top 3 menu orders right now?
Well, roast beef obviously still is king, as we say around here. And I think it starts with the fact that we're a 52-year-old brand that was founded on it. And I think in this industry, so many folks have attempted to be everything to everybody, as opposed to something they're capable of doing really well and consistently. Of course, over the years, we've had to include products outside of the roast beef area. We've introduced a salad line, and as you mentioned, hot dogs and turkey and ham. But roast beef still makes up 51% of our sandwich sales. Sandwiches make up 75% of our total sales. So I think it's important to stay relevant to today's customers and guests, but do it, we believe, by also nodding to the past and what got us here in these 52 years. Roast beef.
Roast beef all the way. I would like to ask you, though, when it comes to pork, that's kind of something that gets skipped over in QSR. And I understand you are a roast beef brand, but I wonder why that's offered as another option.
Well, I think, again, we're trying to differentiate ourselves and to stay the course with products that not being advertised by everyone else in the QSR segment. I think what we have determined is that frequency is dependent on staying relevant and providing variety. We actually test and look at things that we think appeal to our group, and I'll talk a little bit about who our customers are. Well, we tested this pork. We've actually had it for a long time, and just recently we've enhanced it, I think, and brought it to more current day offering with sweet potato waffle fries and a sandwich where the pork is actually tossed in sweet and smoky barbecue sauce with slaw pickles. And it's sold as much as any other limited time only offering we've done, inclusive of beef. So it speaks to people's desires today to explore menus and to see what's unique and different in any particular day. So to your point, pork becomes just one other vehicle of which we believe we can do that. We've also offered in the past a sandwich that combines 3 proteins, our roast beef with the smoked turkey and ham, and a special bistro sauce with a little hollandaise on it. It's a killer as well.
I like that.
It's delicious. Ridiculously good, as we like to call it here. Our guests are somewhat interesting, which makes it a bit of a challenge, I think, as we try to predict and understand tastes and trends. We're very broad for a brand that's very narrow in scope. We're about 50-50 male-female, and we have 85% of our customers can fall into three different categories. And these are our terms. These aren't any big scientific demographic terms. But the first one is a hungry worker. And the hungry worker makes you feel like it's a male, but there's a good portion of female customers in that. But this hungry worker could be hard hat wearing or suit and tie wearing. But what they've come to appreciate is a solid, good for you meal that they have a sense for what it is. It's identifiable, and it's one that sustains their tasks of the day. Our second largest group is a gatekeeper parent. And this one's a unique group of customers in the sense that their mission is to provide food for their family that, again, is considered the best alternative possible, whether it's between a soccer game or school tryouts or band practice. I think this is an area of huge differentiation for us. The fact that moms and dads both like coming to Lion's Choice because it's food that they'd feel comfortable and proud of serving in their own home. And then the third group, and this is in descending order of amount, if you will, is an adventurous millennial. And this millennial, who tends to favor more than anyone taste and origin of food and quality of food equally. Many of these folks, these millennials, ate with us in St. Louis years ago when their parents visited us, and now have revisited us with a new set of standards, if you will, and see us in a different light. So it's actually really intriguing to watch these folks come in and enjoy the ridiculously good roast beef again.
Well, I can see that. It's nice how it kind of goes back and circles in on itself and brings you new adult customers, so to speak, who are bringing new children customers in the never-ending cycle.
I think if we could do that in this industry over and over and over again, it would be utopia. Right. Just keep turning them full circle.
That's the trick. So listen, a step back now, if we may. Can you give us kind of an eagle's eye view of the brand, like your store numbers, your geographic reach at the moment, kind of that overview?
Sure. Well, we're St. Louis born and bred. We have 29 locations that we'd call traditional. 3 of those are franchise. We have two non-traditional locations. One here in the Enterprise Center, home of the Stanley Cup champions, I might add.
Oh, I love how you snuck that in.
Thank you very much. And a food truck, which we introduced a year and a half ago, which has multiple purposes. Actually, we can explore that if you're interested. We're obviously in Missouri. We've recently expanded to Kansas City, which spreads the border both of Kansas and Missouri. So we've added that as a state, and we've just recently opened up our first store and another one under construction in Illinois, which is actually the metro east of the St. Louis area. So 3 states, 29 locations, plus 2 non-traditionals, and we're growing right now with a plan of about 5 stores a year. We've just opened 5 stores in the last 14 months. As we speak, we have virtually 3 under construction, or will be under construction next week. And we have deals signed for at least 3 others in what I'd say either an LOI or moving toward lease. So it's an exciting time for Lion's Choice to be able to take a product that people are actually pulling, if you will. I've worked at brands in the past as we've expanded where there's been more of an effort to push a brand into a new geographical area. And what we've learned in Kansas City is we're being pulled into Kansas City. There's enough folks who've experienced the brand or grew up or have relatives in St. Louis that fondly recall it or have their own sense of loyalty. So we're actually, our entrance into Kansas City has been spectacular. And we think that same strategy will work as we move from the south, from the St. Louis region, whether it's slightly to the southwest or slightly to the northwest, staying in the Midwest, where the values and the love for beef are just as exciting as they are in St. Louis.
Well, I do want to take you up on the offer to talk a little bit more about the food truck. Tell us about that and how the brand will use it.
Well, three primary objectives, really. We see it as a profit center. It's opportunity to literally go where we don't have a traditional brick and mortar location and introduce the brand, which then leads into the second objective, which is one of awareness building. In fact, as a good example of that, we had the food truck in Kansas City for almost 9 months before we opened our first store, just traveling around and sharing the love of roast beef. The third objective is to use that in a good way to serve the communities. Recently, we sent it to Jefferson City, the state capital, which had just experienced a devastating tornado. And we sent the truck to feed workers and relief workers in the area. In fact, we just had a charitable event this past Saturday at the APA, Animal Protection Association here of St. Louis, and fed everybody who donated or adopted a pet. So those three criteria work really well, and we're getting really positive response on it.
That's wonderful. Yeah, it really does maximize those wheels, so to speak. I guess you've been in the C-suite, 2 years now? I'm wondering, what's your take on the biggest challenge, or I guess we would say opportunity for Lion's Choice and its leadership at this moment in time?
Well, I think there's probably one that's a industry challenge and one that's maybe a Lion's Choice. And I'd hate to just focus on one. I think today this industry is struggling in the labor force with a really low to mostly non-existent unemployment rate. It's just tough. And for whatever reason in this industry, I think it has served as a last resort for folks looking for work. Yet, there's many of us, including myself, who grew up in it. I started my career at 16 in the restaurant industry and have never left. So there's huge opportunities for it, but it's a challenge that not just Lion's Choice, but anybody in this industry is faced with today. I think as it relates to Lion's Choice, I describe this as a brand that's had unbelievably loyal guests, unbelievably loyal team members. We just gave an award to a manager that's been a manager for 41 years. And we have associates or team members who've been with us for longer than that, slicing meat and knowing every guest by name. I think those are why we still exist and are relevant in so many ways after 52 years. But I think our brand just got tired, became less relevant to the world as the world was changing and becoming new, different, more convenient, and perhaps even more relevant in terms of food choices. And I think what we have been doing is trying to invigorate the brand and essentially rebranding it. I use, when we talk to managers a lot, that Lion's Choice has survived these last 52 years by running along the freeway, if you will, on the frontage road, steady Eddie, 35 miles an hour. And we needed to get it back up onto the highway and over in the left lane and start doing a little bit more cruising. So, we've launched new stores with a new prototype. We're remodeling the older stores. We've created new channels of distribution. We're delivering. We've partnered with DoorDash. We're using Olo as an online ordering partner. We've restated a mission and values and a culture statement that supports what we're doing. We're trying to stay relevant with new products, as I mentioned. And I think it's what's so, on one hand, challenging and exciting on the other, is that it's a constant moving target, right? To stay relevant with guests and customers today. Everybody's yelling, screaming, value, promotion, new product, convenience. And it's how you do that in a way that's still true to who we are as a brand that's been around for 52 years is the challenge and the excitement all in one.
Yeah, I don't envy you, though, being the guy in charge.
There's a few missed opportunities for sleep at night, as everybody knows.
I can almost hear the in the audience. So I think you've kind of gone ahead with what some of the really great initiatives you've got going are. Is there one that you feel like since you've taken the reins you're really like proud of?
I know it sounds like a parent or a grandparent. I'm proud of it all. But I think I'm most proud of our people. I think we've worked really hard to create, redefine, and help people embrace a culture that should launch us so much further into the next few years. Without that, frankly, the growth in the remodel activity and DoorDash and delivery are irrelevant. I think I've seen in the 2.5 years, I've seen a fire that's been reestablished with folks young and old, meaning just started with a company, or like I mentioned, the 41 year anniversary general manager. And to see that's probably what I'm most proud of right now. And I think it's also the most important if we're attempting to build this brand outside of its core roots of St. Louis.
Do you think that this brand, so roast beef centric, which despite its kind of unique side of veggie sticks, is still very meat centered? Do you think it'll do a plant-based meat offering anytime soon?
Oh, absolutely. I think going back to the importance of staying relevant today and seeking increased levels of frequency. We're fortunate we have a sister concept. Our ownership also owns a brand out of Chicago. Actually operates in a few different markets, California, Oregon, Denver, and Chicago, called Native Foods. Native Foods is a vegan brand. Little sneak preview that we're able to do a little collaboration, and we're learning a lot about plant-based proteins through our sister concept. And I think when we find the one and the approach that doesn't negate or subtract from our current offering, and that we believe we can execute at the same high level of standards that we do our other products, I think our guests will be having a new option that may not be roast beef based.
Wow. That's fun to watch. I'll tell you what. And is Native Foods, and I'm sorry I shouldn't admit to this in the position I'm in, but is it a QSR brand?
It is. It plays in the premium QSR, or fast casual brand, which is where we position ourselves. Although we're not delivered to the table, the Lion's Choice brand is. We definitely see ourselves, our direct competitors being the premium QSR or the entry level of fast casual. And Native Food is in the same category.
Wonderful. So this just begs the question, looking forward, what would you say are you most excited about coming forward in the next 2 years for this brand?
I think exposing this brand in new markets that I think will be unbelievably surprised at its unique product offering and how directly it will correlate with their needs. That sounds really like big picture stuff, but it's actually, if you break that down, I think it's a lot tighter. I think every time someone puts a Lion's Choice roast beef sandwich in their mouth, it blows their mind. And to watch that and to experience that and understand that this is a brand that's been around for 52 years is maybe one of the most satisfying, gratifying things I've done in a long time, besides introduce my grandchildren to fun things to do. I'll put that.
I can feel the excitement coming through.
Good. I do have it, and I think everybody shares in that excitement. It's a tough industry. It's hard to stay in it and play in it, but what keeps you in it is when you know you're fulfilling a need and that people really get excited about it. And I think that's what we're seeing and experiencing in this organization today.
Thank you so much, Mike. We've learned a lot about the king of the beef, so to speak. And thanks to our listeners, too. And I hope you all will come right back here the next time we have a QSR Web podcast to hear from another great brand. Until then, have a great one, everybody.